Chapter 2108. Lu Ming entered a selfless state of cultivation. All the geniuses who entered this place had great gains. Boom! A 2 or 3-year-old girl's aura soared as she sat on a rock. Her emperor's might spread out like a deep sea. Soon, a lightning tribulation descended, but this little girl easily passed it. I finally broke through to martial emperor. Chirp! The little girl muttered. This little girl was none other than Bubble. In another valley, a lightning tribulation also surged. Soon, the lightning tribulation disappeared, and a youth appeared. It was Mu Yang. At this moment, a strong aura spread out from his body. That was Emperor's might. He had also broken through to martial emperor. Ha ha ha. I finally broke through to martial emperor. The next time I meet that brat Tianyin, I will definitely grind his bones to dust. Mu Yang laughed loudly, brimming with confidence. After breaking through to martial emperor, his strength had soared. He was 100% confident that he could kill Lu Ming. Of course, he did not know that Tianyin was Lu Ming. He only thought that it was Tianyin. They were not the only ones. Many people had broken through. Imperial River, Hung Xinghe, Deathblade, Gulong. These azure children were originally quasi-emperors. After accumulating in this place for so long, they all broke through their shackles and stepped into martial emperor. In fact, even some people with king bodies made breakthroughs and became martial emperors. There was a huge gap between quasi-emperor and martial emperor. It was extremely difficult to break through, requiring a long time to accumulate. If it were outside, it would not be so fast. Without 10 years of accumulation, it would be very difficult to break through. However, in this place, many people broke through in just over a year. This was a great opportunity. As for Yuan Xian and Wu Liang, who were already martial emperors, they took another step forward, their cultivations becoming stronger. Everyone was improving, and their strength soared. In the blink of an eye, 1 year and 8 months had passed since they entered this place. At this moment, Lu Ming stopped cultivating. He felt that his cultivation had reached a limit. He planned to take a break before trying to break through to martial emperor. This place is filled with energy. I wonder if there are any natural treasures. Why don't I check it out? Lu Ming started thinking. Others could not travel far, but he could because his physical body was too strong. He wanted to walk around. In particular, he found that this place was not flat. There was a slope, and he was in the middle of the slope. He wanted to follow the slope to the top to take a look. Lu Ming started to move. He followed the slope and went up. The slope here wasn't steep, but it did go straight up. Lu Ming also found that the higher it went, the greater the pressure. Although this increase was not large, it was indeed slowly becoming stronger. However, with Lu Ming's physical strength, he could still withstand it. Lu Ming walked along the slope for 3 days, but he didn't find anything. Everywhere was smooth, and there were no living creatures. Nor did he find anyone who came in from the outside. Lu Ming guessed that the people who came in from outside might be at the bottom of the slope. Lu Ming walked for another day. He suddenly realized that the ground had become flat. He seemed to have reached the highest point. As far as the eye could see, there were protruding rocks in front of them, like small hills. Of course, there were also some peaks, but there was no vegetation. And here, the origin energy of heaven and earth seemed to be denser. Lu Ming went forward. He was still unwilling to give up and wanted to search. Soon he came to a valley. There's someone. After entering the valley, Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat as he saw 2 figures. 2 young men, who looked to be in their 20s, were sitting there cross-legged. These 2 people were very unfamiliar. Lu Ming definitely had not seen them before. They were not any of the 320 people who came in. That was because when they were waiting on the Mountain of Destiny, the 320 people had all looked at each other. With their memories, they would have an impression of each other as long as they saw each other once. However, Lu Ming did not have any impression of these 2 young men. One of the 2 young men was dressed in a black robe. He had pitch black hair and a cold expression. The other young man had long purple hair and was extremely handsome. He had an indescribable temperament that made it hard for people to forget him after a single glance. Who are they? Why are they here? Lu Ming was very puzzled. Apart from the 320 people, there were others who came in? At this moment, The two young men also saw Lu Ming and looked at Lu Ming in surprise. Who is he? He's very unfamiliar. I've never seen him before. The black-haired young man said with a cold and arrogant voice. The purple-haired young man looked thoughtful. Suddenly, his eyes lit up and he said, could he be a prodigy of the primordial realm? Recently, I heard that some prodigies of the primordial realm have also entered this world to cultivate. Hearing the conversation between the two, Lu Ming was shocked. What did he mean? The purple-haired young man said that he was a prodigy of the primordial realm. Could it be that he was not from the primordial realm? Could he be from the heavenly realm? Lu Ming immediately thought of the heavenly realm. But why would someone from the heavenly realm appear here? Where are you from? Heavenly realm? Or the primordial realm? The black-haired young man seemed to show a hint of interest. The primordial realm. May I ask who you are? Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, as expected, you are from the primordial realm. I didn't expect that there would be someone from the primordial realm who could come here. It seems that your cultivation is not weak. I'm really curious. What is the cultivation of a prodigy of the primordial realm? The one who spoke was still the black-haired young man. After saying that, the black-haired young man got up. His eyes were full of fighting spirit as he stepped toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming was surprised. It seemed that these two people were really from the heavenly realm. At the same time, Lu Ming was also speechless. They had just met, and the black-haired young man looked like he was about to attack. Boom! The black-haired young man stepped forward, and a powerful aura erupted from his body. It was the Emperor's aura. The black-haired young man was a martial emperor. Come on, let me see your strength. The black-haired young man's footsteps became faster and faster. In the end, he turned into a black lightning bolt and rushed toward Lu Ming. At the same time, he blasted out a palm. A terrifying palm force blasted toward Lu Ming. The power of reincarnation. This is a son of heaven. Lu Ming's eyes moved. The black-haired young man's palm contained the law of reincarnation. Boom! Lu Ming also made his move and similarly blasted out a palm. The two people's palms blasted out, and a rumble erupted. The entire valley shook. Not bad again. The black-haired young man's palm continued to strike out. He struck out dozens of times in a row, and the power was extremely shocking. Lu Ming used the law of primal chaos to fight against his opponent. After dozens of moves, it was difficult to determine the winner. A mere quasi-emperor actually has such strong combat strength. Your physical body is so strong. Impossible. Could it be that you are a primordial body cultivator? No, that's not right. How could a primordial body cultivator cultivate the law? The black-robed young man spoke continuously, full of surprise. Even the purple-haired young man looked at Lu Ming with some surprise. This guy is so strong. Lu Ming was also quite shocked. Chapter 2109. You're not weak either. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming was just speaking the truth, but the black-haired youth was not happy. His cold and arrogant face became gloomy, thinking that Lu Ming had underestimated him. Kid, I didn't use my full strength just now. Do you think you can compete with me? I'll use my full strength now. Let's see how many moves you can take. The black-haired youth said coldly, and his aura became even more oppressive. At this moment, the purple-haired youth said, Junior brother, don't make a move. Time is almost up. The black-haired youth's face changed. He looked coldly at Lu Ming and said, This time, I'll let you go. After saying that, he turned and left, stepping into a cave with the purple-haired youth. There was a cave in the depths of the valley. It seemed that the two youths had been waiting outside the cave for something. It seems that there's some kind of treasure in this cave, Lu Ming thought. After thinking about it, Lu Ming still did not go in. The two youths were obviously peerless geniuses of the heavenly realm. Lu Ming did not want to offend them for no reason. I'd better leave first and go elsewhere to take a look, Lu Ming thought to himself, then turned and left the valley. At this moment he could not calm down. It seemed that this place was not simple. There were geniuses of the heavenly realm. Could it be that this corner of the world was not taken out by the elites of the primordial realm, but by the elites of the heavenly realm? Lu Ming's imagination ran wild. After that, Lu Ming walked for another 2 days, and finally found a strange place in a kernel. There was a spring that looked like a devil's pool or a spirit's pool. Khanate origin chi was constantly emanating from it, and the energy was shockingly high. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He planned to let the Celestial Emperor's body absorb the energy here. As long as the energy of the Celestial Emperor's body reached a certain amount, he would be able to control it. He would not have so many scruples when doing things. Immediately, Lu Ming took out the Celestial Emperor's corporeal body and operated the technique to control the corporeal body of heaven and earth. He began to absorb the energy here. This place was filled with innate origin energy, and the energy was frighteningly abundant. As soon as Lu Ming activated the method to control the Sky Emperor's body, the incomparably rich energy from all directions converged towards the Sky Emperor's body. Moreover, the quality of the energy here was also very high. The energy storage of the Celestial Emperor's body was rapidly increasing. At all times, he could feel the energy in the Sky Emperor's body increasing and strengthening. In a short few days, the energy of the Heavenly Emperor's physical body reached 10%. When it reached 10%, Lu Ming would be able to control it. Lu Ming was overjoyed. However, he did not stop. He continued to control the Celestial Emperor's body and madly absorbed the energy. Since there was so much energy here, he might as well absorb more of it. The more energy stored, the more powerful the Celestial Emperor's physical body would be. A month later, the energy here had almost dried up. It had been completely absorbed, and the energy in the Celestial Emperor's body had reached an astonishing 36%. One must know that previously, the highest amount of energy stored in the Celestial Emperor's body was only 16%. The power of 36% was absolutely terrifying and astonishing. It would be great if I could completely replenish the energy of the Celestial Emperor's body. Lu Ming's eyes lit up, and he was very tempted. If the energy of the Celestial Emperor's body reached 100%, then in the era when the Celestial Emperor did not appear, he would really be able to do whatever he wanted. Thinking of this, Lu Ming's heart burned with passion. He immediately set off to look for other similar springs. Unfortunately, this kind of spring was extremely rare. Lu Ming searched for a few days in a row, but he did not find any. Lu Ming did not give up and searched for a few more days. After searching for more than 10 days in a row, Lu Ming finally gave up. Time was precious here, and he could not afford to waste any time. Lu Ming began to prepare to break through to the Martial Emperor realm. He found a secluded place, sat cross-legged, and adjusted his state. A few days later, his state reached its peak, and his essence, chi, and spirit were perfect. Lu Ming began to break through to the Martial Emperor realm. To break through to the Martial Emperor realm, one had to use the Saint Heart as the core, and the laws as the core to evolve a small world. The laws were the foundation of a small world. With the laws, the small world could be constantly perfected. Therefore, first, one had to use the laws to evolve the heart of the world in the Saint Heart. Then, the heart of the world and the Saint Heart combined to evolve the small world. It was as if the world was being created. Normally, when people broke through, they would use one kind of law as the core to evolve the heart of the world. After breaking through to the Martial Emperor realm, one would comprehend other laws and add other laws to the small world. The more laws added, the more the small world would be perfected. However, Lu Ming controlled 5 kinds of laws, so he had to use the 5 laws to evolve the heart of the world. Otherwise, if he only used one kind of law, it would be impossible for him to succeed. Begin. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He controlled the 5 kinds of laws and sent them into the Saint Heart to evolve the heart of the world. However, at this moment, his body shook violently, and he felt as if his Saint Heart was about to burst. Even his body felt like it was being torn apart by an energy. He quickly stopped and spat out a mouthful of blood, his face pale. How could this be? Lu Ming's face turned ugly. When he broke through, the 5 kinds of laws entered the Saint Heart and clashed with each other, creating a terrifying force that almost exploded the Saint Heart and tore his body apart. Could it be that those below the Martial Emperor realm, who cultivate many kinds of laws, can't break through to the Martial Emperor realm? No, I don't believe it. Lu Ming began to adjust his breathing and heal his injured body. A few days later, his injuries were healed, and he tried to break through to the martial emperor realm again. But he still failed. Impossible. I'll try to evolve the heart of the world with one kind of law. Lu Ming was unwilling to give up, and wanted to change his strategy. However, he still failed. Because of the 5 kinds of laws, when he controlled one kind of law to evolve in the Saint Heart, the other 4 kinds of laws automatically entered. He couldn't control them even if he wanted to, and Lu Ming was injured again. How could this be? Lu Ming whispered, extremely unwilling. If he couldn't break through to the martial emperor realm, it would be a huge blow to him. No, maybe my cultivation isn't enough, and I need to consolidate. Maybe there are other ways. I can definitely become an martial emperor. Lu Ming clenched his fists and took a deep breath to calm himself down. Maybe it wasn't time to break through to the martial emperor realm yet, so he would wait for a while. However, Lu Ming naturally didn't dare to comprehend new laws now. The more laws he comprehended, the harder it would be to break through to the martial emperor realm. There's still some time. Why don't I comprehend the use of laws? I control 5 kinds of laws. If I can create a corresponding divine skill, its power will definitely skyrocket. Lu Ming put aside the matter of breaking through to the martial emperor realm, and began to think about his own combat strength. Now, his divine skills were all based on a single law, such as the chaotic divine palm, chaotic calamity finger, eyes of death, and the 3 scrolls of array principles. Moreover, the so-called fusion of laws was just a rough fusion of laws to strengthen their power. Chapter 2110. To put it bluntly, Lu Ming was using laws now as if he was using brute force. He did not unleash the wonders of laws at all. He heard Uncle Kong say that after reaching martial emperor, one could comprehend many kinds of laws. Different people would naturally have great differences in the laws they comprehended. The fusion of different laws would also give rise to different divine abilities. Those divine abilities contained several different kinds of laws, and their power was shocking. It was not something that a single law divine ability could compare to. A single law divine ability could only be considered a low-level divine ability. Some laws contained many kinds of divine abilities, and their power was simply earth-shattering. Above martial emperor, there were some ancient scriptures that had corresponding records. However, those ancient scriptures were shockingly valuable. There's only a single law divine ability in the chaos scripture. That's not right. Lu Ming thought of the chaos scripture. He guessed that the chaos scripture he obtained was incomplete. Logically speaking, the chaos scripture was the inheritance left behind by the chaos emperor. It definitely did not only have low-level divine abilities. It definitely had different laws and divine abilities that fused with the chaos law. Perhaps the chaos scripture I obtained is really incomplete. Lu Ming pondered. He did not have the corresponding divine ability in his hands, so he could only rely on himself to explore. In the following time, he focused on exploring the use of fusion between different laws. Time passed very quickly. 2 years were almost up. After several months of exploration, Lu Ming finally had some gains. He discovered that it was too difficult to comprehend any divine ability between the chaos law and the death law. It was not just a saying that the strongest laws were incompatible. However, Lu Ming had created 2 different types of divine powers. Their powers were astonishing. They were respectively the fusion of the chaos law, the array path law, the devour law, and the strength law to create a divine ability. Lu Ming named it Chaos Hammer. When using this move, he could condense a giant hammer with astonishing power. In addition, with the fusion of the death law, the devour law, the array path law, and the strength law, he created a divine ability. Lu Ming named it Death Sword. After using it, it formed a battle sword that cut through everything. Of course, this was only a preliminary comprehension. The power of the various laws was not fully unleashed. To be able to reach this step in such a short time, Lu Ming's comprehension was already extremely terrifying. As he slowly cultivated and comprehended it in the future and perfected it, the mysteries of the various laws would erupt. The power of these 2 moves would become stronger and stronger. However, although it was only a preliminary comprehension, it was much stronger than purely relying on the fusion of laws. This allowed his battle prowess to increase tremendously once again. After entering this world for 2 years, Lu Ming's combat ability had improved tremendously. It's almost time. Lu Ming looked up at the sky. Buzz! All of a sudden, a powerful force acted on Lu Ming's body. Given his current strength, he was still powerless in the face of this force. His body disappeared from the spot. The next moment, he realized that he had appeared in a void. In front of him, there was a huge door of light. Beside him, figures flashed and appeared one after another. Autumn, autumn, bubble, bubbles, 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 bubbles. He also saw Yuan Xi and Mu Yang and the others. When Mu Yang saw Lu Ming, his eyes were filled with cold, murderous intent. This time he was full of confidence. He had become a martial emperor, and his strength had skyrocketed. He was confident that he could kill Lu Ming. Many people's eyes were filled with confidence. Everyone had improved greatly. Go out! A voice suddenly came from the sky. It sounded very old. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. They knew that the owner of this world had spoken. He was definitely a terrifying expert. Lu Ming, on the other hand, had more thoughts. He had seen 2 geniuses from the heaven domain. The owner of this world was most likely from the heaven domain. Everyone stepped into the door of light and disappeared. Destiny Mountain. During this period, countless people had gathered. There were even more people than 2 years ago. 2 years had passed. The Battle of the 10 Lands was about to begin. Also, 320 geniuses had entered the world left behind by the primordial world. How much had they gained? How much had their strength improved? Could it be that many people had already stepped into the martial emperor realm? Everyone was very curious. In the sky above the mountain peak, figures shrouded in divine light stood there like gods. These were all martial emperors from all over the world. Uncle Kong had arrived at the primordial mountain and stood together with martial emperor Wuxia. In addition, martial emperors Hung, He and Tianluo had all arrived. Not only that, but many experts from the various sacred grounds had also come. For example, the ancient moon sacred ground had sent people to participate in the first battle of the 10 lands since the ancient times. Everyone was waiting quietly. Suddenly, a door of light appeared in the sky. They're coming out. Everyone revealed a look of anticipation as they looked at the door of light. Not long after, figures walked out of the door of light and stood in the void. 320 people, not one more, not one less. There has indeed been great progress. Many people have stepped into the martial emperor realm. The martial emperors and true emperors looked carefully and revealed a look of shock. Given the cultivation level of a great emperor and a true emperor, it was not difficult for them to see through the cultivation level of Lu Ming and the rest. Alright, 2 years have passed. The Battle of the 10 Lands will now begin. Everyone step back a little. A white-haired old man stepped out, his voice echoing in all directions. He was the host of this gathering, an old monster from Destiny City. Everyone retreated, including the martial emperors, leaving the Destiny Mountain empty. The white-haired old man waved his hand and light filled the sky above the mountain. Stone platforms appeared out of thin air. Each stone platform was very large, like a battle stage. There were a total of 320 pieces. The next competition is very simple. Each of you will choose a stone platform and step on it. There are formations set up on these stone platforms, and they operate according to their own rules. As soon as you step onto them, the stone platforms will move. Whenever 2 stone platforms collide with each other, the 2 participants will face off against one another until the top 10 are determined. The white-haired old man announced. Everyone's eyes flashed. So that was the rule. But didn't this rule have a lot to do with luck? However, many people had confident looks in their eyes. They were confident in their own strength and believed that they could defeat any opponent they met. This time, everyone had gained a lot. They were all eager to show off their strength in front of countless people. I'll go first. Someone moved. A tall and sturdy figure rushed onto a stone platform. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Chapter 21:11. Lu Ming also casually chose a stone platform and stepped onto it. When Lu Ming stepped onto the stone platform, he discovered that there was a force on the stone platform that enveloped his entire body. In the blink of an eye, a person stood on each of the 320 stone platforms. Then, All the stone platforms slowly began to move as if they had formed some kind of pattern. Soon, two of the stone platforms flew toward the center and collided with each other. On the two stone platforms, the gazes of the two youths collided, both filled with intense battle intent. Boom! Boom! Powerful auras erupted from both of them, as if a long river surrounded their bodies. Quasi-emperors. Both of their cultivations were at the quasi-emperor realm. It's one of the monarch Dao's laws of destruction. Both of them are the same. Someone cried out, recognizing the laws of both of them. The two youths actually controlled the same laws. We both control the law of destruction, but you're not my match. One of them said, very confident. You're the one who's going to lose. The other person was also very confident. Boom. The two of them engaged in an intense battle. Both of them had reached the quasi-emperor realm, and their combat strength was astonishing. Moreover, they had grasped the same kind of law, and their cultivation was similar, so their combat strength was not much different. The two of them fought fiercely, and the battle continued for more than 200 rounds before the victor was decided. In the end, one of them was slightly better and defeated his opponent, sending his opponent flying out of the stone platform. After his victory, his stone platform brought him back to the center of the others, while the stone platform of the defeated person turned to dust and dissipated. The defeated person was very unwilling to accept this. He became the first person to be eliminated in the Battle of 10 Lands. There was a simple rule for this competition. That was, one could admit defeat before the competition. If one did not admit defeat, once the battle began, one would be responsible for one's own life and death. Of course, one could also rush off the stone platform and admit defeat. After the first round ended, the stone platforms began to spin again. Soon, two more stone platforms flew toward the center and collided with each other. Boom! The two youths on the stone platforms directly engaged in an intense battle. Without a doubt, they were also two people with the monarch Dao. In fact, those who could enter the top 80 in each battle zone were all people with the monarch Dao, and their cultivation was not weak. After cultivating for another 2 years in that world, the weakest of them all advanced to quasi-emperor. What was surprising was that the nomological laws that these two monarch bodies controlled were the same. Could it be because of the stone platform? Lu Ming thought of the stone platform. Previously, when he stepped on the stone platform, there was a wave of energy that enveloped him. Would that energy be able to sense the laws? Or perhaps there were other uses. Not only Lu Ming, but the others also thought so. As expected, the majority of the people who fought next all grasped the same laws. This was to let those with the same type of law determine the victor. So powerful they are all quasi-emperors. Moreover, he's already at the stage where he's about to evolve a small world. He's about to become an emperor. Many people sighed. Indeed, in these 2 years, everyone had made great progress. Many people had not become great emperors, but they were not far from it. Some of the youths were especially envious. There were some people whose cultivation levels were about the same as theirs before, but now the gap between them had completely widened. Some people were still stuck at the peak of the absolute saint realm. Even though there were a few who had broken through to the quasi-emperor realm in the past 2 years, they were still far from evolving a small world. The battle was very intense. In each battle, the difference in cultivation levels was not big. Moreover, the laws were the same. At least 100 moves were needed to determine the victor. Half a day later, only 10 pairs of people had fought. In the 11th battle, Lu Ming saw a familiar face. Long Chun. Moreover, Long Chun had already broken through to the martial emperor realm. 2 years ago, he was already a quasi-emperor. It was normal for him to take the opportunity to break through this time. His opponent was also a martial emperor, who controlled the law of force. The two of them clashed with each other. However, in the end Long Chun cultivated the immemorial dragonesque elephant body. His combat strength was stronger, and he defeated his opponent in a violent manner. This was the first time that there was such a great disparity in strength between two people of the same law and the same level. The bloodlines of the top 10 battle beasts are indeed extraordinary. Indeed, it is said that the further they advance, the more extraordinary they are. After reaching the martial emperor realm, They will be even stronger. Some of the older generation people discussed. The battle continued. After that, Lu Ming saw that Huangli Luo Xiang, Autumn Moon, and the others had gone up one by one. Huangli Luo Xiang, Autumn Moon, and the others had indeed broken through the shackles and reached the martial emperor realm. They were one-star illusionary emperors. They had also defeated their opponents. However, the crowd could also see that most of the battles were of the same law. However, it was not absolute. There were also battles between different laws. It was very exciting. Lu Ming was dazzled by the various laws of the King Dao. This was indeed a great era. In the past, there were very few laws of the King Dao. However, they had all appeared now. The battles continued for a few days, and people were constantly eliminated. There were no rules in the battles. It was not like one could wait for the others to finish their battles after one battle. It was not like that. Some people had just finished their battles, and it was their turn again after a few battles. It was completely based on the independent movement of the stone platform. Some people were unlucky and encountered terrifying geniuses at the beginning. For example, some people encountered Yuan Xian, Wu Liang, Ancient Demon, and the others. They were almost defeated in one move and could not resist at all. Lu Ming also saw Xiang Xiang and Ouyang Moli make their moves. After all, the two of them had not cultivated for long and were considered rising stars. They had not broken through to the martial emperor realm. However, they had reached the stage of evolving small worlds and were only one step away from the martial emperor realm. As long as they consolidated for a while, they would be able to break through. They easily defeated their opponents. The stone platform moved. Lu Ming drifted forward and collided with the stone platform. Finally, it was Lu Ming's turn to fight. Lu Ming's first opponent was a quasi-emperor with a martial emperor physique. Do you want to admit defeat? Lu Ming asked seriously. Lu Ming was not interested in a quasi-emperor with a martial emperor physique. The difference was too great. If you want me to admit defeat, it depends on whether you have the ability to do so. The opponent sneered. It was a young man wrapped in a black robe. His face was pale. At this moment he took out a staff. Curse weakening. Curse deadly poison. Curse corrosion. The young man immediately made his move. He waved his staff, and a stream of energy suddenly appeared on Lu Ming's body and shrouded him. This is the law of curses. Lu Ming raised his eyebrows. The law of curses was an extremely rare law of kings. It was very strange and very powerful. With the power of curses, it could kill people without leaving a trace. A stream of strange energy from his body desperately drilled into Lu Ming's body. An ordinary quasi-emperor physique would not be able to withstand it. In the process of moving, his body seemed to have transformed into a stone tablet, suppressing Lu Ming. This stone tablet was extremely similar to a tombstone. Dong! Lu Ming clenched his fist and punched out, slamming it into the tombstone. The tombstone trembled and was sent flying, reverting back to its human form. Kill! The short-haired young man roared, and charged at Lu Ming again. This time, his body glowed, and a layer of black light emanated from his body. He waved his hands and pieces of tombstones appeared one by one, constantly suppressing Lu Ming. Burial Earth Law. Lu Ming's lips curled up slightly. Today he had seen some mysterious laws. The Burial Earth Law could bury everything and kill it. Its power was extremely shocking. The short-haired young man used the Burial Earth Law to turn into a tombstone. He wanted to bury Lu Ming. The short-haired young man had already stepped into the martial emperor realm. His strength had soared, and he was much stronger than the genius who controlled the curse law. Lu Ming clenched his fist and punched out continuously, shattering the tombstones in the air. In the end, the short-haired young man's attack reached its peak. Large tombstones appeared in the sky, and he wanted to bury Lu Ming. The power was extremely terrifying. If someone of the same level was buried in the tombstones, it would be difficult for them to come out. Boom! An even more shocking aura erupted from Lu Ming's body as the death law permeated the air. This caused the other geniuses' eyes to narrow. Each of the Elysian children was not simple. They were worthy of attention, as they were their opponents to enter the top 10. The death chi on Lu Ming's body became thicker and thicker. Finally, It turned into a long river that surrounded him. The laws formed a river. He has not yet become a martial emperor, just a quasi-emperor. Many people let out a long breath, relaxing. A quasi-emperor was not to be feared. He was destined to be a supporting character. Haha. After being in that small world for 2 years, he is still only a quasi-emperor. It looks like his talent is really lacking. Mu Yang rejoiced and could not help but mock. Humph. Even if his cultivation is low, he can still beat you up. Have you forgotten what happened 2 years ago? Xiang was indignant and mocked. Although she did not recognize Lu Ming had helped them 2 years ago. She had a good impression of Lu Ming. Seeing Mu Yang mock Lu Ming, she also mocked him. At the mention of being beaten up, Mu Yang's expression turned unsightly as he said, "That was then and this is now. He does have some strength. However, if he meets me now, only death awaits him. I will make him die a miserable death. One step ahead, one step ahead. I have already become a martial emperor, but he is still a quasi-emperor. He will never be a match for me." Mu Yang smiled coldly, filled with confidence. Lu Xiang snorted coldly, but did not say anything. At this moment, Lu Ming and the short-haired youth had already started fighting again. Lu Ming executed the death law, greatly increasing his combat prowess. When he executed the death eye, it was like combat weapons flew out of his eyes and destroyed the other party's tomb. Bang! In the end, Lu Ming charged over like a barbaric dragon, breaking through the other party's defenses and sending the short-haired youth flying off the stage. Lu Ming obtained victory in this battle. Did you see that? Even though he has not become a martial emperor, he can still defeat a martial emperor. Seeing that Lu Ming had won, Lu Xiang revealed a look of joy and gave Mu Yang a mocking look. It's just defeating a martial emperor. What's the big deal? Mu Yang smiled faintly. Although he said so, there was a trace of solemnity in his heart. Being able to defeat a martial emperor with a martial emperor's martial emperor physique was enough to prove how terrifying Lu Ming was. However, he was still confident that he could beat Lu Ming. There was still a big gap between a martial emperor and an Elysian child. After this battle, Lu Ming's stone platform was sent back. The battle continued. In the blink of an eye, another day had passed. Now, half of the original 320 stone platforms were left. Half of the participants had already been eliminated. At this moment, Luo Xiang encountered a terrifying opponent. Although Luo Xiang had already become a martial emperor, his opponent this time was also a martial emperor. Moreover, it was an Elysian child. There was no suspense in this battle. Although Luo Xiang tried his best and executed the speed law to the extreme, it was useless. His opponent directly broke through his speed law with terrifying strength and defeated Luo Xiang in a crushing manner. However, his opponent had no enmity with Luo Xiang. He only injured him and did not kill him. The subsequent battles became more and more brutal. At this moment they shouted in surprise. This should be the ancient demon path, the ancient demon path. An older generation figure spoke and explained. This shocked many people and made them somewhat disappointed. The ancient demon path was so powerful that it could suppress the Elysian child. Don't be discouraged. Now that the law path is flourishing, it naturally has its advantages. The ancient demon path is not so easy to cultivate. That's right. The ancient demon path's cultivation conditions are extremely harsh. Moreover, not every ancient demon path's cultivation system is so powerful. The ancient demon is obviously a peerless genius who cultivates the ancient demon path. Some older generation figures explained, so that the youths would not be discouraged. At this moment, the ancient demon's attacks were becoming more and more violent. The demonic light on his body was condensed to the extreme. It was unstoppable and constantly broke through his opponent's attacks and defenses. Pung. In the end, both sides exchanged dozens of blows. The opponent was no match for the ancient demon, and was sent flying. An Elysian child who had stepped into the martial emperor realm had been defeated. The Elysian child had always been synonymous with invincibility. Apart from other Elysian children, no one could be a match for them. However, today, he had been defeated by a genius from the ancient demon path. This ancient demon is too strong. His attack power is unparalleled. There is a high chance that he will enter the top 10. Yes, there is a high chance that he will be one of the top 10. Many people were optimistic about the ancient demon. Next, after a few more battles, the remaining Elysians with king bodies were all defeated and eliminated. Bubble is going to attack. Lu Ming's eyes moved. He saw Bubble's stone platform move forward and collide with another stone platform. Such a small child, she shouldn't be from the human race. Someone looked at Bubble. She looked to be 2 or 3 years old. She was pink and extremely cute. Some young women's eyes lit up. They wished that they could hug Bubble in their arms and fiercely love her. She is not from the human race. This little girl's origin is very shocking. Chapter 21:14. Many people were even more curious when they heard what the older great emperor said. Senior, what is her true form? Someone asked. You'll know when you see it. She'll most likely reveal her true form in this battle. The great emperor smiled. Bubble's opponent was a very tall and sturdy man. He was almost 3 meters tall and had muscles all over his body like a dragon. In front of him, Bubbles really looked like a small dot. Little fella, reveal your true form. Otherwise, I won't be able to kill you when you're so tiny. The burly man said in a low, muffled voice. Big fella, don't think that you can defeat me just because you're big. If you want me to reveal my true form, we'll have to see what you're capable of. Bubble pouted, her face full of disdain. Little fella, let's see how capable you are. The burly man grinned. In the next moment, he charged at Bubble like a mountain. Boom! He threw out a punch, causing the void to tremble. He was a son of primordial chaos, who controlled the primordial law. I'll spit it out! Bubble exclaimed. She opened her small mouth and blew out a transparent bubble that enveloped her opponent. At the same time, Bubble's figure flashed and disappeared. However, the void rippled. The space shattered like a mirror and turned into terrifying sharp swords that slashed at the burly man. Spacetime law. The burly man roared and threw out punches. The transparent bubble shattered and then blasted at the spatial swords. However, when he threw out his fist, the speed of his fist became extremely slow. It was as slow as a turtle. Everyone knew that the burly man was affected by the time law. The time in the void had slowed down, causing the speed of his fist to become extremely slow. Break it! The burly man roared, and the primordial law erupted. The primordial law was very similar to the primordial law. It was as heavy as a mountain, and every move contained boundless power. The burly man wanted to break through the restraints of Bubble's spacetime law with absolute power. As expected, the burly man unleashed his full strength. The speed of his fist suddenly increased and blasted all the spatial swords. The fist did not stop and continued to attack Bubble. However, the spacetime law was unpredictable. Bubble's figure flashed and disappeared. She shuttled through the void and appeared behind the burly man. She continued to attack him. After Bubble broke through to Martial Emperor, her usage of the space-time laws became even more profound. Her various unfathomable means were stronger than before. Space-time spirit rats were born with the ability to control space-time laws. The further they advanced, the more terrifying their control over space-time became. Otherwise, how could the space-time spirit mouse be known as one of the top 10 beasts? Boom! The burly young man quickly turned around and blasted backward. However, Bubble's figure disappeared again. Just like that, the two of them exchanged dozens of blows before the burly youth gradually lost his patience. Xiao Budian, if you continue to waste time with me, neither of us will be able to do anything to each other. The burly young man roared. Who said that? Chirp. Bubble shouted and suddenly appeared above the burly man. Both of his hands were waving non-stop. With the burly man as the center, the void rippled like water and transformed into a wave of killing power that shot towards the burly man. Furthermore, with the acceleration of the power of time, the spatial slaughter energy was astonishingly fast. In the blink of an eye, it was already right in front of the burly young man. The burly young man was shocked. He quickly set up layers of defenses around his body to block Bubble's attack. Rumbling sounds could be heard. At that moment, Bubble opened his small mouth and continuously spat out bubbles. Hundreds of transparent bubbles appeared and then disappeared. The next moment, All of them shrouded the burly young man. The big bubbles covered the small bubbles and shrouded the burly young man in layers. Break, break, break! The burly young man continued to bombard the bubbles, trying to break them. When he smashed all these transparent bubbles, Bubbles stopped and looked at him with a smile, saying, "Big guy, you lost, chirp chirp." What? The burly young man was stunned. Then he looked around and his face turned bitter. It turned out that he had unknowingly left the range of the stone platform. Leaving the stone platform meant that he had lost. "Senior, didn't you say that she would reveal her true form?" Someone asked the senior from before. This little guy is very smart. When the opponent was careless, she used the space-time laws to move the opponent's body out of the battle platform. "I thought that she could only win by revealing her true form." The old man explained awkwardly. "Bubble has become stronger. As expected, following me has restrained her and prevented her from unlocking the potential of the space-time spirit mouse." Lu Ming smiled. After Bubble won, the stone platform flew back. The burly young man's stone platform turned to dust and dissipated. He could only withdraw helplessly. He had reached the end of this battle of 10 Earths. Next, every battle was very exciting. It could be said that it was a battle between the strong. There were even Elysian children of the same laws fighting fiercely. Lu Ming saw Yuhi fighting against another child of reincarnation. The two of them exchanged more than 1,000 moves before Yuhi won with difficulty. However, he was also seriously injured. After winning, he hurriedly healed his injuries. There was also Deathblade, who fought against his opponent. After exchanging a few hundred moves, he also won with difficulty. However, there were a few people who won easily. For example, Monk Wuliang was now stronger. He defeated an Elysian child of the martial emperor realm in a crushing manner. Yuan Xian was the same. He was strong and domineering. In less than 10 moves he finished his battle. However, the one who made Lu Ming's expression the most serious was the Child of Destiny. This time there were many geniuses. There were dozens of Elysian children, but only one of them controlled the law of destiny. Only Lu Ming and Yuan Xian controlled the law of primal chaos. They had the fewest people among the Elysian children. The Child of Destiny was too strong and unfathomable. It was difficult to measure his combat strength. The reason for that was because his fighting style was too peculiar and too shocking. When he fought with his opponent, he only said one sentence, and his opponent was defeated. He said that his opponent was destined to be defeated. Then, his opponent was inexplicably injured and sent flying off the stone platform. This fighting style was simply inconceivable. It shocked countless people. Controlling the law of destiny can control the fate of all things in the world. An older emperor said. Countless people were shocked. Controlling the law of destiny could really control the fate of all things in the world. Didn't that mean that whoever he said would die would die? If that was the case, wouldn't it be too terrifying? He was like a god that ruled over everything. However, another emperor said, in order to use the law of destiny, one had to rely on one's own strength. For example, the Child of Destiny was now in the Void Emperor realm. It was impossible for him to kill a true emperor. The other party's strength was enough to withstand the law of destiny's attack. Everyone nodded. This made sense. Otherwise, the law of destiny would be too terrifying. Chapter 21:15. The competition continued, and there were only a few dozen stone platforms left moving in the sky. As time passed, the number became fewer and fewer. After that, a few more people attracted everyone's attention. A true dragon was incomparably powerful and had unparalleled offensive power. However, there were no fluctuations of laws on his body. A great emperor deduced that he cultivated the immemorial path of demons. The immemorial path of demons was also a type of immemorial path of demons. There was another person who was completely black and looked like an iron tower. He had boundless strength, and there seemed to be no energy fluctuations on his body. He only relied on the strength of his physical body to send a martial emperor realm Elysian child flying out of the battle platform. Everyone was shocked. Some great emperors speculated that this should also be a type of immemorial path of demons, immemorial body cultivators. They specialized in body cultivation, and the strength of their physical body had reached an earth-shattering level. Some great emperors explained that in the immemorial path of demons, there were body cultivators who could strike down the stars in the sky with just their physical body. It was terrifying to the extreme. There was a burst of discussion. The Battle of the Ten Lands was really unexpected. There were too many experts. Even geniuses of the immemorial path of demons appeared one after another. Immemorial path of demons, immemorial path of demons. Immemorial body cultivators appeared one after another and suppressed the Elysian child. Many people speculated that the three of them could enter the top 10. Then Lu Ming saw that Xing Xinhe also defeated his opponent. After coming out of the Lotus World, Xing Xinhe had disappeared and never appeared again. However, there was no doubt that this person who had always been the #1 genius of Yuan Mountain had become stronger. His opponent was also a Elysian child, but he still defeated his opponent in a domineering manner, attracting attention. After Xing Xinhe defeated his opponent, the stone platform under Lu Ming's feet moved forward. Is it finally my turn? Mu Yang? Lu Ming whispered, and then his expression became interesting. The reason for that was because the other stone platform that moved over was actually Mu Yang. What a coincidence! A wisp of killing intent flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. As for Mu Yang himself, he was also stunned. Then a cold killing intent spread out like a blade. Bang! The two stone platforms collided. Haha, Tianyan, you're really unlucky. This time, I'll make sure you die miserably. Mu Yang let out a cold laugh. He was too excited. He had been looking forward to meeting Lu Ming. He did not expect that he would really meet him. This time, he was going to avenge himself. Why do I feel like I'm very lucky? Lu Ming smiled. Tianyan encountered Mu Yang. 2 years ago, Mu Yang was defeated by Tianyan and was almost eliminated. However, in the past 2 years, Tianyan did not seem to have improved much and did not break through to the martial emperor realm. On the other hand, Mu Yang has already become a martial emperor. His battle prowess is definitely above Tianyun's. In the battle between geniuses, combat power is important, but so is potential. It seems that Tianyun's potential is not good enough. His future achievements will be limited. Some people were discussing. Some people felt that although Lu Ming's battle prowess was strong, his potential was not enough. Even if he could become a great emperor in the future, it would probably be very difficult for him to achieve much. Bang! Bang! Mu Yang stepped towards Lu Ming. His martial emperor cultivation was fully displayed. His aura swept towards Lu Ming like a gale. In such an environment, you still have not broken through to the martial emperor realm. You are really a piece of trash. In the future, you will never be my opponent. No, there is no future. Today you will die. Mu Yang sneered as his aura grew stronger. You talk too much. Kill! Lu Ming suddenly shouted and charged towards Mu Yang. His eyes were filled with the light of death as he attacked fiercely. You! Mu Yang wanted to continue acting tough, but he did not expect Lu Ming to suddenly attack. He did not follow the rules at all. He roared and retreated rapidly. His hands pressed forward, and the law of nothingness destroyed Lu Ming's attack. Even if you sneak attack, you are still not my opponent. Ah! Mu Yang wanted to ridicule Lu Ming, but Lu Ming's attack power suddenly increased. His speed also increased. He directly smashed Mu Yang's attack and slapped Mu Yang's face. Mu Yang let out a miserable scream as his body flew out like a sandbag. He almost flew off the stone platform. He was too miserable. His face was already badly mangled, almost exploding. Many people sucked in a breath of cold air. Was Lu Ming so strong that he could actually beat Mu Yang? Despicable man, it was just a sneak attack. Some Mu clan experts refused to admit their mistake. Ah, I will kill you. Mu Yang roared and dashed toward Lu Ming, as if he had gone mad. He exploded with all his strength and rushed towards Lu Ming. A sea formed by the law of nothingness enveloped Lu Ming. Originally, he thought that he could easily beat Lu Ming. He did not expect that he would be beaten so badly by Lu Ming at the start of the battle. He was mad with hatred and wished he could cut Lu Ming into pieces. Lu Ming stood motionless, allowing the sea of nothingness to envelop him. Die for me! Mu Yang roared and exploded with power. His small world revolved. The power of his small world, and the law of nothingness worked together to turn Lu Ming into nothingness. However, a river of law revolved around Lu Ming's body, constantly blocking the invasion of the law of nothingness. It's just a river of law. Chapter 21:16. Mu Yang screamed miserably. His face was filled with fear. He turned around and fled, trying to escape from the stone platform. But how could Lu Ming let him do as he wished? He must kill Mu Yang. Bang! Lu Ming took a step forward and caught up with Mu Yang in an instant. He blasted a palm on Mu Yang's back. Mu Yang screamed miserably. His body was penetrated, and there was a big hole that penetrated the front and back of his body. Now his arms were crippled, his body was penetrated, his battle prowess was greatly reduced. He was even less able to contend against Lu Ming. Bang! Lu Ming leaped up and kicked Mu Yang's face. Mu Yang's body slammed heavily onto the stone platform, causing the stone platform to rumble. A series of cracking sounds could be heard from his body. Dozens of bones were broken. Then Lu Ming stepped on Mu Yang's face, making him unable to move. This is very similar to the first time Mu Yang challenged Lu Ming. He was also trampled on by Lu Ming and lost all his face. Tianyan, I must kill you. I want you to die without a burial ground. Mu Yang crazily roared. He has really gone crazy. Before the great battle, he was still acting all high and mighty, saying that Lu Ming would definitely die a horrible death. He even mocked Lu Ming for being a good-for-nothing with no potential, unable to break through to martial emperor, and that Lu Ming would never be his match. But now, how many moves has it been since the battle started? He is like a wild dog being trampled on by Lu Ming. This kind of humiliation is driving him crazy. You still dare to threaten me in this kind of situation? Lu Ming was indifferent. He waved his hand and 2 rays of light bombarded Mu Yang's legs, causing them to explode. Mu Yang let out a hysterical, miserable shriek. Although with his current cultivation, even if only his head was left, he could regrow his flesh and restore his body. But this kind of pain is real. Now his 4 limbs were crippled, his body was penetrated, he suffered heavy injuries. He is in incomparable pain. Tianyan, you dare to kill me? The experts of my Mu clan are right here. If you dare to kill me, you'll have to face the revenge of my Mu clan. Mu Yang roared. He was certain that Lu Ming would not dare to kill him. He stared viciously at Lu Ming. As long as he didn't die, he would definitely kill Lu Ming in the future, no matter what method he had to use. Bang! Lu Ming's expression became cold, and he directly stomped down. Mu Yang's head was like a watermelon that exploded. Then, a soul flew out and was caught by Lu Ming. It was Mu Yang's soul. At that moment, fear filled the face of Mu Yang's soul. He never thought that Lu Ming would actually dare to kill him. Was he not afraid of the Mu clan's revenge? You're courting death. The experts of the Mu clan were truly enraged. Someone roared, his aura shocking. It was as if the entire world was trembling. Without a doubt, this was a great emperor from the Mu clan. Mu Yang was done for. His physical body was completely destroyed, and only his soul was left. Even if he was reborn, he would not have the same achievements as before. This made the experts of the Mu clan furious. They immediately wanted to attack and kill Lu Ming. But in the next moment, at least 10 cold gazes swept towards the great emperor of the Mu clan. The great emperor of the Mu clan felt as if a bucket of cold water had been poured on him. He was instantly extinguished, and his aura was retracted. This was the Battle of 10 Earths. The great emperors of various regions were gathered here, and no one was allowed to disturb them. If he attacked, a group of great emperors would probably attack and kill him. Tianyan, you'd better let Mu Yang go. The great emperor of the Mu clan did not dare to attack, and could only threaten. Lu Ming sneered, too lazy to care. Tianyan, let me go. I beg you, let me go. At this moment, Mu Yang was truly afraid. He knew that he had encountered a lawless person, who was not afraid of him at all. Lu Ming's gaze was cold. He had no intention of letting Mu Yang go. With Mu Yang's personality, letting him go might be more dangerous. He would definitely take revenge, and would not give up. So, what was the difference whether he let Mu Yang go or not? If I let you go, you'll find assassins from the nation of death to assassinate me? Lu Ming said coldly. Mu Yang was stunned. Then his face twisted with disbelief. In the end, he shouted hysterically, "You're Lu Ming, you're Lu Ming, you're not dead." Mu Yang's scream spread in all directions, and everyone heard it. Many people were stunned. What? He's Lu Ming, the son of Chaos Lu Ming? Didn't the people from the Nation of Death say that they've already killed Lu Ming? Is he not dead? Many people discussed in shock. At this moment, the eyes of the son of Chaos Yuan Xian shone like two stars as he looked at Lu Ming. Xing He's energy burst out, and his body was bathed in white light as he stared at Lu Ming. He's Lu Ming. Qiu Yu, Huang Ling Long Chun, and the others were overjoyed. Master, it must be Master. Lu Xiang and Ouyang Moli were also overjoyed. They finally understood why Lu Ming had helped them. They didn't know who he was, but Lu Ming helped them. They were puzzled before, but now they finally understood. At this moment, everyone's eyes were focused on Lu Ming. So he's Lu Ming. Some Emperor Realm experts whispered. They had already seen through Lu Ming's true appearance, but they hadn't seen Lu Ming before, so they didn't know that he was Lu Ming. Lu Ming didn't hide it. His body began to change, revealing his true appearance. It's really Lu Ming. Some people who had seen Lu Ming before exclaimed in disbelief. Ha ha ha, I told you, how could Lu Ming die? Huang Li laughed. Death Nation. They really know how to blow their own trumpet. Ouyang Wushuang also laughed. Young Master. Qiu Yu was overjoyed. Some people who were familiar with Lu Ming were overjoyed. Although they didn't believe that Lu Ming was dead, they couldn't help but worry. Death Nation, an assassin organization, was too terrifying. They were afraid that it might be true. Now that they saw Lu Ming, they were finally relieved. Why isn't he dead? The countenances of some of Lu Ming's enemies changed, and they became very ugly. Experts from Hung family, He family, Daluo Heaven sect, Wan family, Golden Crow clan, Sky Wolf Pagoda, and other forces stood in the crowd, feeling indignant and regretful. They couldn't wait for Lu Ming to be killed. This was especially so for the forces in the ancient Moon Holy Land. Lu Ming was getting stronger and stronger. He was giving them too much pressure, and they were very worried. It's really you. The son of chaos, Yuan Xian, was shrouded in chaotic light. He was like a god of war, staring at Lu Ming. He had been invincible all his life and rarely suffered losses. However, during the assessment of Hunyuan sect, he suffered a great loss. He was defeated by Lu Ming and lost the last inheritance. Moreover, the inheritance of the Chaos Emperor was also in the hands of Lu Ming. He and Lu Ming were bound to fight. That's not right. How could he be Lu Ming? Isn't he the son of death who controls the law of death? Someone calmed down and finally found the problem. Lu Ming used the law of death previously. However, Lu Ming was the son of chaos. The scene was very lively, and many people were discussing. Now it suddenly quieted down, and there was no sound at all. Everyone stared at Lu Ming with their eyes wide open. They couldn't wait to see through Lu Ming. Even those great emperors were the same. Huang Ling, and those who were close to Lu Ming were also the same. They were in disbelief. Chapter 21:17. A single person had actually mastered 2 supreme laws? Everyone was dumbfounded, unable to believe it. Some even suspected that someone had disguised himself as Lu Ming. However, a great emperor spoke up to prove that this was Lu Ming's true appearance, and that he had not disguised himself. Whoosh! The scene was in an uproar. One person could actually control 2 supreme laws at the same time, and they were below the martial emperor realm. Then, in addition to the array Dao law from before, wouldn't Lu Ming control 3 supreme laws? It was a complete uproar. This was unprecedented. Heavens, it's heaven-defying. Lu Ming is going to defy the heavens. One person controlling 2 supreme laws at the same time. How is it possible? Even a martial emperor can't do it. The supreme laws are incompatible. This has been the truth since ancient times. And now the truth has been broken. Many people shouted. Even many of the older generation were the same, mainly because the impact was too great. It was as if the truth that they had always believed in had collapsed in an instant, and they could not calm down. Even the Thearchs could not calm down, looking at Lu Ming, as if he was looking at a monster. How is this possible? How is this possible? Those who had a grudge with Lu Ming such as the Hung family, were all in disbelief. Boom! At this moment, Yuan Xan, Destiny's Child, and the other strongest geniuses could not stay calm, and a terrifying aura erupted from their bodies. Invincible! Big brother Lu Ming is invincible! Bubbles screamed even louder. Master is invincible! Lu Xiang and Ouyang Moli also cheered. Lu Ming touched his nose. He knew that once he revealed his true identity, it would definitely cause an uproar and shock the world. However, he still did not hide it, because if he faced Yuan Xian, Destiny's Child, and the others later, he would definitely not be able to hide it, and would have to use his full strength. Sooner or later, he would be exposed. In addition, now that the energy in the heavenly Thearch's body had been stored up to 36%, he had confidence and fewer worries. If the Mu clan wanted to make a move on him, Xiang, Qiuyu, and the others after the 10 Earths battle ended, he could just take them and run. In any case, the heavenly monarch's physical body was shockingly strong. Not to mention, there was still Emperor Wuxiang, Uncle Kong, and the others. At this moment, Uncle Kong, Emperor Wuxiang, and the others were unable to calm down as they stroked their beards with all their might. They had lived for countless years, but this was the first time they had seen something like this. Let me go. At this moment, Mu Yang was nearly scared to death as he screamed crazily. One person could actually control 2 supreme laws. No wonder his combat prowess was so terrifying. He was about to be scared to death. Mu Yang, it was you who ordered the Death God Nation to assassinate me, right? Lu Ming said coldly. Lu Ming, spare my life! Mu Yang screamed in terror. Many people's hearts stirred. It seemed that this was really Mu Yang's doing. He had asked the people from the Nation of Death to assassinate Lu Ming. They did not know what method Lu Ming had used to avoid death. Moreover, the people from the Nation of Death had mistakenly thought that they had killed Lu Ming. Despicable! You can't defeat my master, but you secretly ordered assassins to kill him. Damn it! Master, kill him! Xiang and Ouyang Moli were filled with righteous indignation. They couldn't wait to kill Mu Yang personally. Mu Yang, rest in peace, Lu Ming said. Then, under Mu Yang's terrified gaze, he clenched his fist, and a terrifying force directly crushed Mu Yang's soul, causing his soul to scatter. Damn it! The Mu family's great emperor roared as his eyes were extremely sinister. An Elysian child was killed just like that. Their hearts were bleeding. A king body was said to have the potential to become a great emperor, and an Elysian child was undoubtedly stronger. The chances of them breaking through to the great emperor realm were very high, and they could even take a step closer and touch the supreme heavenly emperor realm. Such a genius would be treated as a treasure by any force. But now, he was killed by Lu Ming in front of everyone, and his soul scattered. After killing Mu Yang, the stone platform that represented Mu Yang turned into a puff of green smoke and dissipated. Lu Ming returned to the stone platform and floated back. Pairs of eyes fell on Lu Ming. Some were filled with solemnity, while others were filled with intense battle intent. Previously, no one took Lu Ming seriously. No matter how strong a quasi-emperor was, he wouldn't be a threat to them. But now it was different. Lu Ming had killed Mu Yang, and for the first time, he had mastered 2 supreme laws. Most importantly, Lu Ming didn't use the law of primal chaos when he killed Mu Yang. If he used the law of primal chaos and the law of death, how powerful would it be? Everyone re-evaluated Lu Ming's battle strength. Of course, there were also people who didn't think highly of Lu Ming. They thought that mastering 2 supreme laws at the same time was already unprecedented. It was impossible to fuse 2 supreme laws and increase the power of the 2 supreme laws. Many people agreed with this point of view. While everyone was unable to calm down, the competition continued. After Lu Ming and Mu Yang's battle, there were only 20 or so people left. It could be said that those who remained were all experts among experts. Every battle attracted everyone's attention. Destiny's Child, Yuan Xian, Wuliang, and the others still defeated their opponents. Deathblade had finally reached the end. He encountered a true dragon that seemed to cultivate the immemorial demonic Tao. It was incomparably powerful. Although Deathblade did his best, he was still not a match for it. After a few dozen moves, he was defeated. Eternal Star River also encountered a powerful opponent. However, he was indeed very strong. After exchanging over 100 moves with his opponent, he narrowly won. Bubble also defeated his opponent. When it was Lu Ming's turn again, his opponent was not strong. He was slightly weaker than Mu Yang, and was defeated by Lu Ming. Slowly, there were only 13 people left. 13 stone platforms floated in the air, sizing each other up. These 13 people could be said to be very strong. Among them, Destiny's Child, Yuan Xa and Wuliang, the true dragon that cultivated the immemorial demonic Tao, the immemorial physique cultivator, and the space-time child were the ones who received the most attention. Because these people had stepped into the martial emperor realm 2 years ago. 2 years later, they were undoubtedly stronger. Their strength was unfathomable. However, these people had yet to encounter each other. Could it be related to the stone platforms? Lu Ming pondered. Perhaps the stone platforms could also roughly distinguish the strong and weak. Therefore, some of the strongest people would automatically avoid them. This was very likely. If some of the strongest people encountered them first, it would be unfair. The stone platforms rotated. Then, 2 stone platforms flew out and collided with each other. One of them was Destiny's Child. The person who collided with Destiny's Child had an ugly expression. He actually encountered Destiny's Child. Destiny's Child's name was Tian Ming. Using Destiny City as his name, one could see that his heart was higher than the heavens. Moreover, he was worthy of this name. Tian Ming was dressed in white. His long hair reached his waist. He was unbelievably handsome, like the legendary god's child. Chapter 21:18. Destiny's Child Tian Ming was thought to be the most likely candidate to win the competition. Before the competition, Yuan Xian was the only one who was thought to be able to compete with Tian Ming. Of course, there were many dark horses now, such as Wu Liang, the True Dragon, and the Primordial Physique Cultivator. However, most people still thought that Tian Ming would have no problem winning the competition. Destiny's Child controlled fate, and there were only a few in history. Almost every one of them stood at the peak, and became a peak expert. Do you want to admit defeat? Tian Ming asked his opponent calmly with a smile on his face. Among the top 10 laws, the law of destiny is faintly superior to the other laws. I want to experience it. The young man said. He was also a very powerful child of heaven. 2 years ago, he was about to become a great emperor. After 2 years of cultivation, his cultivation had reached the peak of 1-star void emperor. How could he surrender without a fight? Tian Ming shook his head and said, "From the moment you said that, your fate was already sealed. You will lose." What bullshit fate is this? My fate is up to me, not the heavens. No one can control my fate. The young man shouted and charged at Tian Ming. You are destined to be struck by lightning. Tian Ming said with a smile. Rumble. As soon as he finished speaking, endless lightning appeared out of nowhere and struck at his opponent. Every bolt of lightning was multicolored. There were 5 different colors, and they were as thick as an arm. Their power was shocking. The densely packed lightning directly drowned the young man. The young man let out a long howl and unleashed a crazy burst of power, using a divine ability to resist the lightning. Your fate is to be burned by fire, Tian Ming said again. Then endless flames appeared. They were incomparably terrifying flames that drowned the young man. Your fate is to be cut by a blade. Your fate is to be hammered. Tian Ming said continuously. Every word he said was coming true. All kinds of attacks were launched at his opponent endlessly. Finally, the young man couldn't resist anymore. He vomited blood and was sent flying out of the stage. Tian Ming, on the other hand, had a smile on his face from beginning to end. He stood on the stone stage in his white robe, not moving a single step. He was extraordinary. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, shocked beyond words. The law of fate was too terrifying. Could it really decide one's fate? If he said that the other party was going to be struck by lightning, then he was going to be struck by lightning. If he was going to be slashed by a saber, then he was going to be slashed by a saber. It was as if he was controlling the fate of others. Even Lu Ming had a serious look in his eyes. Heaven's Will's stone platform flew back. There were still 12 people left. After another 20% of the competition, the top 10 would be determined. Soon, 2 more stone platforms flew out and collided with each other. Everyone was shocked again. This time, the one who stepped out was Yuan Xian. His opponent's face also darkened. In the eyes of others, Yuan Xian was someone who could compete with Tian Ming. Encountering him was just bad luck. Boom! Yuan Xian directly attacked, domineering and overbearing. His primal chaos divine fist was unparalleled in terms of offensive power. The moment he attacked, he would crush his opponent crazily. His opponent might be powerful, but he was still at a disadvantage. He was no match for him at all. Yuan Xian's cultivation is definitely not a 1-star empty emperor. I'm afraid he's already a 2-star empty emperor. Someone guessed. Many people nodded. This was normal. Yuan Xian had already become an empty emperor 2 years ago. In the past 2 years, he had encountered many opportunities. How could he not have improved? Not long after, Yuan Xian's opponent was defeated. He coughed up blood and left the battle platform. After Yuan Xian retreated, there were still 11 people left. Then 2 more stone platforms collided with each other. It's him, an archaic body cultivator. Lu Ming's eyes moved, revealing a look of interest. One of them was the archaic body cultivator named Bao Da. This person was almost 3 meters tall. He was bald and his body was pitch black like a piece of black coal, or a piece of black steel. He seemed to be filled with endless power. Archaic body cultivators specialized in cultivating their physical bodies. Their physique was unparalleled, and their power was endless. Lu Ming was very interested. His flesh had been tempered by the law 5 times in a row, and contained 3 streaks of chaotic qi. It was already very powerful, but compared to Bao Da, there was still a big gap. Bao Da's opponent's face was also very ugly. This was because Bao Da was also considered one of the strongest few people. Why were the opponents of the last 3 people facing the strongest ones? Haha, little one, make your move. Bao Da grinned and walked towards the other party like a giant. Boom. Bao Da made his move. It was simple and direct. He directly threw out a punch. This punch directly pierced through space. His pitch-black fist was like an immemorial divine mountain, as it pressed down on the other party. His opponent was not weak either. He could be said to be very strong. He erupted with all his strength to resist Bao Da. Unfortunately, he was still unable to match Bao Da. Bao Da's fist landed and directly pierced through the strongest law. His opponent's face changed drastically. He quickly retreated and was almost sent flying out of the stone platform by Bao Da. Little one, you can't do it. Ha ha ha. Bao Da laughed. His 3-meter-tall body directly charged towards his opponent at an astonishing speed. Boom. His opponent used all his strength and blasted out a divine ability. But when it landed on Bao Da's body, it was useless. It did not break Bao Da's defense. Bao Da's body was like a divine weapon. He broke through his opponent's attack, and then ruthlessly slammed into his opponent's body. His opponent groaned. Crackling sounds came from his body. Then he vomited a large mouthful of blood. His body was directly sent flying out of the battle platform. Many people gasped. This Bao Da was really terrifying. His strength was endless. He defeated his opponent in just a few moves. What a terrifying power. It's pure physical strength. In the crowd, Huang Li and Long Chen's faces were very solemn. They cultivated the law of force, and were known as the ultimate strength. But compared to Bao Da, they were far behind. After Bao Da defeated his opponent, there were only 10 people left on the scene. The top 10 were born. They were Tian Ming, Yuan Xian, Wu Liang, Bao Da the True Dragon Aoko, the Spacetime Sun, Yin Haoge Bubbles, Heng Xinghe, Ancient Devil, and Lu Ming. Everyone's eyes fell on the 10 people. In the entire land of Yuan Mountain, there were countless geniuses. The 10 strongest geniuses were the focus of everyone's attention. Alright, now that the top 10 have been born, I'll give you 3 days to recuperate. 3 days later, the final battle will begin. The white-haired old man stepped forward and announced, Master is too powerful. And Bubbles, Lu Xiang, Ouyang Moli, and the others cheered excitedly. However, most of them did not look good because the geniuses that they thought highly of had failed, and did not enter the top 10. Senior, I'm not convinced. At this moment a voice sounded, causing everyone to quiet down. A young man stepped forward and cupped his fists at the white-haired old man. I'm not convinced either. Me too. Chapter 21:19. Everyone recognized that 3 of them were the last 3 youths who had been defeated by Tian Ming, Yuan Xian, and Baoda. The other 2 youths were also the ones who had encountered Tian Ming and Yuan Xian. There were 5 of them in total. What's wrong with you? The white-haired old man asked. Some of them aren't strong enough to enter the top 10. That's right. They were just lucky and didn't encounter any strong opponents. That's why they aren't convinced. The youths spoke one after another. Everyone understood. These youths felt that they were too unlucky to have encountered Tian Ming, Yuan Xian, and the others. They were defeated because Tian Ming and the others were too strong. Many of them had not encountered Tian Ming and the others in the top 10. Therefore, these youths felt that they had only lost because of luck and not because of strength. Many of them had the same thought, especially when their gazes swept over Lu Ming, Bubbles, and Heng Xinghe. I see. The white-haired old man nodded and said, the stone platform under your feet has a special effect, so some people won't encounter you in advance. However, you won't be convinced if you don't fight. How about this? I'll give you a chance. You can challenge any one of the 10 youths. If you can win, you can replace them. Hearing this, the youth's eyes lit up. At the same time, their gazes fell on Lu Ming, Bubbles, and Heng Xinghe with strong battle intent. They were unconvinced because of Lu Ming's group. They felt that they were stronger than Lu Ming, Bubbles, and Heng Xinghe. Lu Ming might have mastered 2 supreme laws, but his cultivation was only at the quasi-emperor realm. Although he had defeated Mu Yang, which one of them wasn't stronger than Mu Yang? There was also Bubbles, a 3 to 4-year-old child who was only a 1-star illusionary emperor. They had nothing to fear. It was the same for Heng Xinghe, who was only a 1-star illusionary emperor. As for the ancient devil, although he was also a 1-star illusionary emperor, he cultivated the immemorial demon Dao, and his battle strength was extremely strong. They had no confidence in defeating him. As for Tian Ming, Yuan Xian, Wu Liang, Baoda, Xieku, and Yin Haoge, they did not consider them. These 6 people had already become emperors 2 years ago, and their strength was unfathomable. I'll challenge first. A red-haired youth stepped forward. What right do you have to challenge first? I'll go first. I'll go first. There were 5 young men in total, all of whom wanted to challenge Qin Nan first. He would definitely have an advantage if he chose to challenge the weakest one first. Finally, the white-haired elder had them draw lots to decide who would go first. In the end, a tall and thin youth was the first to fight. This person had been defeated by Baoda. Now, he was the first to challenge someone. His gaze swept over Lu Ming, Bubbles, and Stellar River, and finally landed on Stellar River. Since the beginning of the fight, he had been suppressed by Lu Ming, and was completely at a disadvantage. He could not resist, and was forced to retreat from the stone platform. You still dare to challenge me? You're just SOO. Lu Ming pursed his lips, and flew back to the stone platform. Lu Ming didn't use the fusion of the law of chaos and the law of death. Could it be that he really didn't fuse these 2 laws? It's naturally not that easy to fuse 2 supreme laws. Even so, his strength is still very strong, slightly stronger than the Stellar River. Some people discussed. The faces of the remaining challengers turned even uglier. The few who they thought were the weakest had such strength. Could it be that they would not succeed in their challenge? Then a young man challenged Bubble. Bubble still did not transform into his true body. Relying on the mysterious space-time law, he played with the opponent for 100 or 200 moves. In the end, he inexplicably sent his opponent off the stone platform and won. The remaining 2 challengers looked at each other. In the end, they sighed and shook their heads, giving up on the challenge. Even Lu Ming, Bubble, and Heng Xinghe were so strong. They had no confidence in challenging the remaining challengers. They would only be beaten up, so they might as well not challenge. At this point, the top 10 were officially born. After a round of challenges, no one doubted the combat strength of Lu Ming and the others. They were the top 10 strongest people among the younger generation in Yuanlu. The 10 of them sized each other up, creating dazzling sparks when they collided. At the side, many people did not know that Xiang Xiang and Ouyang Moli were Lu Ming's disciples. When they saw this, they were dumbfounded. Lu Ming was young and extraordinary. Now, he actually had 2 disciples of the Elysian children. It was really shocking. Even the great emperors were envious. You too, cultivate well, and strive to become great emperors as soon as possible. Lu Ming looked at Xiang Xiang and Ouyang Moli. At the same time, he thought of himself. It seemed that it would be very difficult for him to become a great emperor. From the looks of it, he would probably be surpassed by his 2 disciples. This made his old face blush slightly. Then Lu Ming bowed to Emperor Wuxiang, Uncle Kong and the others. Lu Ming, this time, do your best. After the Battle of the 10 Lands, there will be great opportunities waiting for you. Emperor Wuxiang smiled and transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. Lu Ming was shocked. There were great opportunities waiting for them. However, thinking about it, it made sense. Previously, it was just a selection, but they could enter the world left behind by the primordial world. Now that it was the final battle, how could there be no opportunities? I will do my best. Lu Ming nodded. Then, Lu Ming chose a place and sat cross-legged in the air. He circulated his qi and adjusted his condition to the best. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. The final peak battle was about to begin. The white-haired old man stood at the top of Destiny Mountain. With a wave of his hand, a huge battle platform appeared on top of Destiny Mountain. It was 100 miles wide and was purple-gold in color. It was filled with a noble aura. Obviously, the final battle would take place on this battle platform. The final battle of the top 10 will be fought in turns. Each person will have to fight with the other 9 and be ranked according to their winning percentage. The white-haired old man said. Lu Ming nodded. As he expected, they would use this hairstyle. This was the fairest way to determine the ranking. It was completely based on one's strength, and there was no luck involved. This was the most commonly used method. Throughout Lu Ming's journey, he had encountered this method more than once or twice. Also, in the battle between you all, no one is allowed to kill. The white-haired old man added. Many people nodded. Each of the last 10 people was extremely talented. If they died because of this, it would be a great loss. That was why there was such a rule. Lu Ming secretly felt that it was a pity. He originally wanted to take this opportunity to deal with Xinghe. Okay, now I will decide the order of the battle. The first battle, Xinghe against Lu Ming. The white-haired old man announced. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He didn't expect the first battle to be him. Moreover, his opponent was Xinghe. Could it be that the white-haired old man did this on purpose? The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled up. This was good too. He would start with Xinghe. Whoosh! Lu Ming took a step forward and landed on the battle stage. Xinghe's figure also landed on the battle stage. His eyes were filled with a strong fighting spirit. It was as if a flame was burning fiercely. Lu Ming, this time, you will definitely lose. Xinghe shouted loudly. His fighting spirit was soaring. You have already lost back then. Now you are even less of a match for me. Lu Ming shook his head. His voice was silent. Many people were stunned and revealed a look of realization. It seemed that Lu Ming and Xinghe had already fought before. Xinghe and Lu Ming are both from Yuan Mountain. Naturally, they have already fought before. It seems that Xinghe is not a match for Lu Ming. He has already lost before. Many people discussed. That time, Lu Ming just used a trick. The people of the Hung family were indignant and explained. As for the powerhouses of various forces in the Yuan Mountain area, they were watching with rapt attention. Lu Ming and Hung Xinghe both came from the land of Yuan Mountain. In the past, Hung Xinghe had always been known as the #1 prodigy in the land of Yuan Mountain. Since Lu Ming's rise, this phenomenon had changed. Whoever won this battle would be the #1 prodigy of the Yuan Mountain area. Xinghe, then I will crush you. I will let you understand the gap between us. Lu Ming said faintly. Bang! Bang! Chapter 21-21. Lu Ming stepped forward, and with every step he took, a river of law appeared on Lu Ming's body. When he took the first step, the law of chaos turned into a river and surrounded Lu Ming's body. When he took the second step, another river of law appeared. It was the river of law of death. Chaos and death, the two strongest rivers of law, surrounded Lu Ming's body and attracted everyone's attention. This was because this was a scene that had never appeared in the Yuan realm since ancient times. It was a miracle. Many people even took out their breath shadow stones to record all of this. Then a shocking scene appeared. The two rivers of law merged together and turned into a two-colored river of law. It's merged, the two strongest laws have merged together. Someone shouted excitedly, "Oh my God, it's heaven-defying. The two strongest laws have really merged together. It's a miracle." Countless people roared, and even many great emperors could not calm down and opened their eyes wide. Two supreme laws fused together. This could be called a legend. At this moment, Yuan Xian, Baoda, and the others were shocked. "My hair. Why is this guy always so crazy?" Monk Wuliang chanted a Buddhist mantra, and his face turned bitter. Even Tian Ming, who had always been calm, had his smile disappear at this moment, and a look of surprise appeared on his face. Stellar River was also shocked, and showed a look of disbelief. "I'll defeat you." Lu Ming took a step forward, charging toward the Stellar River like a bolt of lightning. "Eternal Divine Bell." Stellar River roared. He was unwilling to give up, and he still wanted to fight. A divine bell appeared on his body. There were ancient patterns on it. Clang! The eternal divine bell vibrated, and a terrifying sound of killing erupted. Compared to the past, the power of Stellar River's eternal divine bell was many times stronger. However, now that Lu Ming had merged the law of chaos and the law of death, in addition to his extremely condensed saint power and physical strength, the combat strength that erupted was too strong. Lu Ming ignored Stellar River's attack, and his body did not stop, and he continued to charge. When those sounds of slaughter landed on Lu Ming's body, they were blocked by the two-colored river of laws. They couldn't break through Lu Ming's defense at all. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming approached the Stellar River. Boom! Lu Ming used the Chaos Divine Palm and fused two supreme laws of nature to strike the eternal divine bell in the Stellar River. Dong! The eternal divine bell vibrated violently, releasing terrifying sound waves that swept out in all directions. A few true emperors and grand emperors created a barrier in front of them. Otherwise, they would have been injured. The weaker ones would have died from the shockwaves. Kacha! Cracking sounds could be heard from the eternal godly bell as cracks began to appear on it. The cracks were like a spider web as they covered the entire eternal godly bell. Bang! In the end, the eternal divine bell exploded and turned into specks of light before dissipating. Lu Ming's palm force didn't stop, bombarding Xinghe's body. Xinghe's body was like a scarecrow, flying out and heavily falling to the ground, vomiting large mouthfuls of blood. Defeated. Xinghe was defeated in a single move. Many people were stunned. Is the fusion of two supreme laws so terrifying? Someone's voice was dry and filled with disbelief. Xinghe was a peerless genius who made it into the top 10. Yet, he was defeated in a single move by Lu Ming. The gap between them was shocking and horrifying. Since ancient times, no one in the primordial realm has mastered two supreme laws, and no one has fused them together. No one knows what kind of power the fusion of two supreme laws will have. Someone said solemnly. Everyone took a deep breath. That was indeed the case. Moreover, they thought about how many laws Lu Ming could control. Every time he controlled a river of laws, he would refine his saint force and body. No wonder Lu Ming's combat strength was so strong. They finally understood. You've lost, Lu Ming said indifferently, as he looked at Xinghe indifferently. Xinghe vomited another mouthful of blood. He couldn't accept this result. Back then, he was the number one genius of the primordial realm. He was high and mighty, and looked down on others. When he first met Lu Ming, he didn't care about Lu Ming at all. Even if he knew that Lu Ming was the son of chaos, he didn't care. He thought that he was strong enough to suppress all enemies, and would not be defeated. But later in the Lotus world, he was defeated by Lu Ming. However, at that time, Lu Ming had used some kind of secret technique. He always thought that Lu Ming had borrowed external force, and that he wouldn't be defeated with his own strength. Over the years, he had been cultivating in seclusion. Especially when he knew about the Battle of the 10 Earths, he cultivated even harder. He wanted to amaze everyone in the Battle of the 10 Earths, and completely suppress Lu Ming, and trample him under his feet. Even though there were many geniuses this time, and it was beyond his imagination, he still managed to make it into the top 10. Unfortunately, his opponent, Lu Ming, performed even more amazingly. Although he hadn't become an emperor, he had mastered 2 types of strongest laws. And now, he had defeated him in one move. His combat strength was strong enough to look down on him. At this moment, his confidence and belief suffered a great blow. He kept coughing blood. Damn it! Great Emperor Hung roared. Lu Ming was the nemesis of the Hung family. Master is mighty. Master is invincible. Lu Xiangxiang and Ouyang Emoli were making a big fuss. They were even happier than if they had won. Do you want to fight again? Lu Ming continued to step forward. The 2-colored river of laws surrounded him, like a god descending to the mortal world. Xinghe hadn't admitted defeat yet. If he wanted to fight again, Lu Ming could ruthlessly torture Xinghe. Unfortunately, Xinghe didn't give him the chance. I've lost. Xinghe was very unwilling, but he could only admit defeat. Otherwise, he would only be tortured. I've said it before. If I can defeat you once, I can defeat you twice. You'll never be my opponent in the future. Lu Ming left this arrogant sentence, and then flew out of the fighting ring. Xinghe's expression was ugly. He also left the battle stage, and took a pill to heal his injuries. This was only his first battle. There were more battles waiting for him. The first battle, Lu Ming wins. The second battle, Bubble versus Yin Haoge. The white-haired old man announced. Many people's eyes immediately lit up. They realized that every battle that followed was very attractive. Bubble and Yin Haoge had both mastered the law of spacetime. Moreover, according to the Great Emperor, Bubble's original form was a divine beast with a great background. Everyone wanted to know what Bubble's original form was. Bubble, do your best. Lu Ming patted Bubble's little head. Don't worry. That guy is weird. I'll definitely beat him up. Chirp chirp. Bubble cried out. Not far away, Yin Haoge's face was full of black lines. What did she mean by him being eccentric? How was he being eccentric? Chapter 21-22. Be my pet beast. We both cultivate the laws of space and time. It's beneficial to both of us. Yin Haoge said again. It's the same the other way around. You can be my pet. Bubble pouted. Yin Haoge's expression darkened. If you don't agree, I'll beat you until you do. Whoosh. Yin Haoge moved. As he moved, the space around him rippled like water. His body seemed to be traveling through space at an incredible speed. Many people saw him move. In the next moment, Yin Haoge's body was already in front of Bubble. He grabbed at Bubble with his hand. Bubble didn't have time to dodge, and was caught by the hand. However, with a bang, Yin Haoge caught nothing. The Bubble's figure shattered like an illusion. It was only a mirror image. Bubble had already left. Just as Yin Haoge grabbed Bubble's mirror image, Bubble's figure suddenly appeared behind Yin Haoge. He reached out with his small hand and attacked Yin Haoge. However, Yin Haoge's figure also shattered at the same time. This was also a mirror image. Yin Haoge's figure had also left. Whoosh! Whoosh! In an instant, Yin Haoge's figure appeared behind Bubble. Not only that, dozens of Yin Haoge's figures appeared in other parts of the battle platform as well. This is fun, chirp chirp. Bubble cried. His small figure also disappeared. In the next moment, dozens of figures appeared and pounced at Yin Haoge's figures. In an instant, figures flashed on the battle platform. One figure after another flashed, but they were defeated one after another. In the end, it was discovered that they were all mirror images. Not a single one hit the real body. Many of the weaker cultivators were dazzled by the sight. They couldn't see the real body or the mirror image. They could only see the space rippling like water on the battle platform. One figure after another flashed and attacked. In the blink of an eye, there were dozens and hundreds of figures crisscrossing each other. As time passed, the speed reached an extreme. In the end, the two figures couldn't be seen at all. Lu Ming channeled his saint power into his eyes to capture the two figures. Amazing! Both of them have reached an extremely profound level in the use of the laws of space and time. A true emperor exclaimed. The space-time laws were extremely mysterious to begin with. Ordinary people would not even be able to touch someone who controlled the space-time laws. This was the use of space and time, the collision of time and space. It had only been a minute, but the two of them had already exchanged countless blows. Let me break your space-time laws. Yun Haoge was getting impatient. All of his silhouettes disappeared, leaving only one behind. Boom. The aura on his body became even more violent. The surging power of the world rushed out together with the space-time law. With him as the center, the space constantly collapsed and exploded. Even time was messed up. Two-star Void Emperor. This was Yun Haoge's current realm. He wanted to crush Bubble with his powerful cultivation base. Bang! Bang! With him as the center, it was as if a level 12 hurricane had been set off, sweeping toward the Bubble. Wherever it passed, space exploded, time was thrown into chaos, and the mirror images of the Bubble collapsed one by one. Bubble's true body appeared, floating within the chaotic flow of space-time. Lose for me, Yun Haoge said coldly. He took a step forward and appeared in front of Bubble. There was a sword in his hand. This was a battle sword condensed from the space-time force. It was extremely sharp and slashed toward Bubble. Bubble waved her small hand, and a space-time sword condensed in her hand as well, colliding with the opponent. Bang! The void trembled. Bubble's cultivation base was still a little weaker. Only a one-star Void Emperor. She was not a match for Yun Haoge in terms of strength. Instead, she was sent flying by the opponent. After Yun Haoge sent Bubble flying, he chased after her and attacked Bubble again. After a few consecutive blows, Bubble was suppressed and fell into a disadvantageous position. Yun Haoge used his stronger cultivation base to constantly shatter the surrounding space and disrupt the space-time force, forcing Bubble to face him head-on. Bubble, you can do it! Lu Xiang, Ouyang Moli, and the others shouted, cheering for Bubble. Be my beast pet! Yun Haoge's eyes were cold as he stared at Bubble. Chirp chirp, Bubble cried out, her eyes filled with anger. Her body emitted a white light, and in the next moment, Bubble directly transformed into her true body. It was a small spiritual mouse. Its fur was snow-white and sparkling, shining with a little luster. It was exceptionally cute. Could it be a space-time spiritual mouse? One of the top 10 beasts, the space-time spiritual mouse. Someone exclaimed, and the scene was in an uproar again. It's a space-time spiritual mouse. Yun Haoge's eyes were burning with greed. He could not wait to take Bubble for himself. In the Yuan continent, there were some geniuses who could awaken the bloodlines of the top 10 beasts. The Yuan realm was vast and boundless, and there were many such geniuses. However, those geniuses who had awakened the bloodlines of the top 10 beasts were only humans after all. They had only awakened a little of their bloodline, and the difference between them and the top 10 beasts was too great. There were countless divine beasts in the world, but there were only 10 of the top 10 beasts. Each of the top 10 beasts was unique. In the world, it was impossible for 2 of the top 10 beasts to appear. Each of them was unique. Only when one of the top 10 beasts fell could a new one be born. In ancient times, each of the top 10 beasts was a pinnacle expert in the world. One could imagine how powerful and talented the top 10 beasts were. Now it was a young space-time spiritual mouse. It was too rare. The space-time spiritual mouse is mine. Yun Haoge roared in his heart. The space-time spiritual mouse was born to control space-time. If he could get it, it would be of great help to him. Surrender. Yun Haoge continued to attack Bubble. Human pet, you're the one who's surrendering. Bubble shouted. Her body glowed, and white rays of light spread out, causing the void to ripple like water again. Whoosh! Bubble's figure disappeared. She traveled through space-time without leaving a trace. At the same time, the endless space in all directions was shrinking, squeezing toward Yun Haoge. Break! Yun Haoge shouted. His 2-star illusionary emperor cultivation was fully unleashed. Together with his space-time law, he wanted to shatter the surrounding space. However, in the next moment his expression changed. He felt that his space-time law was being suppressed. What was even more shocking was that his space-time law was being manipulated instead. The space-time law that he unleashed was oppressing him instead. Bang! Yunhaoge's body shook violently. The endless space-time power pressed on his body, piercing through his power of the world. His body flew out, and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood. What's going on? Many people were dumbfounded. Just now, Yunhaoge clearly had the upper hand. How did the situation turn completely around in the blink of an eye? Yunhaoge was injured by Bubble in one move. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.